Good morning and welcome to my channel. I'm here today to do a flip through of the Antiques Vintage Journal with all the vintage pieces I've used in it, the vintage papers, book pages, ephemera, postcards, etc. And these images also that I have used from Golden Mead. We did the cover, so I'll start off straight away. One of the things I've done is take some of these images and put them onto vintage book pages and then layered it onto some tea dyed paper. This is a Gothic sheet of paper, Gothic writing, German Gothic writing, print I should say, shouldn't I? And some vintage lace. We made this as well, and there's pockets here and flips out like this and like that, and this is sewn into the signature. The old railway train spotting book I found, a vintage invoice. It's a work invoice, chain works, loom, block crane and carding engine chains, and it's got all workman's tools there on the back, printed on the back of the invoice. 1911 vintage document. I'm not sure what it was, it's in French. We made these page tabs as well, vintage ledger paper, rag paper, and I've made these journal cards. Because quite a lot of these papers are thin, these vintage papers, it can be a bit difficult to clip on. This is a share certificate, a Spanish share certificate from 1962. A tag I made using an old book plate at the front of a book. You know, those book pages they have that are decorated. It's quite a stiff page. And I've used vintage fabric label, and this came off. These are labels that came with the stock certificates. And here I've used some pet tape. That was what we made, with a slide that I've stamped. And remember, I took these pieces off of this cover, so I've put them as page edges on some of the pages. Some Japanese rice paper writing. The journal cards we made with some vintage ledger paper. Again, all made with vintage items, music book, and then vintage ledger, book page, and fabric label. I will link all the videos connected to, well, in fact, I'll do a playlist and put the videos connected to this, the playlist up. We made this pocket as well, another vintage laundry label, multi pockets, and some vintage lace, tea dyed ledger paper, vintage science school book from France, music sheet that here, vintage, and some more vintage lace pocket here. I put nothing in the back here. And here I have a postcard, I can't tell you the date, and a letter as well here, 1906, this one. Oops, I've just lost the, there it is. And I've just pinned them together. There. Oops. And slotted them in this pocket. There's some pockets that are free for you to put your own in as well. Then on this side, again, using those book plates, I've put another image on here with a label, vintage label. I'll leave that in there. And a page tab rather, that we made as well. So I'll link all this. A vintage photo with some inner pocket of lace, and I put some vintage lace down there, and this opens up, and in here you have some of the rag paper I got. Here, the French vocabulary, Spanish to French. A prayer card. I don't know when I've picked that up somewhere. And a Will's Cigarettes Garden Flowers card as well. It goes in there. And we have a pocket here. These are, you'll see further on, making out of some vintage negatives. I was making these slide things, and these were the bits that were punched out when I used a die. So I put them on white card and then put some of that gold around them. And then here I have just an old stamped envelope, a postage envelope, and then a engineer's trip record from 1900. So as you can see, there's quite a bit of odds and ends in here. And here, done it again, is a card I made with the book page with some bit of vintage lace and the laundry label, and an Indian postcard from India, and I'm not sure when, I can't read the date on it, but I quite like that with the writing. Another vintage postcard. Again, I have 1901. That's from Wetsburg by Gießen. Not sure if that's at all how you pronounce it. And some vintage lace down here. And this pulls out. And then another page tab. And a small CD case that I tea dyed and stamped on, and then put this little card inside there. And this was, I found this, it's just a decoration. It was a spare page tab I had, so I just put it on there. Again, this is done with that gold finger. And then I've put a bit of electrical tape that I use as vintage tape there into vintage lace. And then there's this page from an old book, a lovely plate. And there's writing on the back as well. I think that was the early 1900s as well, that book. And then there were some of these in here, so I backed it on some of that Tim Holtz green card. Put another card in that I layered onto tea-dyed paper, and a diary page from July 1939 in German. That just slots in there. Another page edge there with the old music sheet. And this is what I was saying, where I made these popped out of here. So I made these, and this is an old vintage negative that I've cut out a die. And then this is one of the journal cards we made as well, just clipped in there. This is from an old book from the 50s, I believe, 1950s, History of the World, something like that. Tea time on an outing for old ladies at Loughton near London. And then I've just put this tag together using the Tim Holtz green card that I've roughed up, and put a piece of book page which I've folded over. Laundry tag from, not a laundry tag, a laundry receipt from Norway, and some vintage lace and the labels there. And this again is just being put onto, this not it's not a pocket or anything, been onto some of that green card I've roughed up. And this is the share certificate from 1962. I've made that as well. One of these, who was it who did it? not a passion for paper. A little bit French, she did them. And I used to have these from jewellery making, so I thought, oh, that's a good idea. So I've put that onto there. And it is seeing through because it's only just been done. Page tab. And this is another fold over, and I can't remember where I saw this at all, but you fold this book page and you can make lots of little pockets with it. And so I've stuck these in. Again, some small dictionary page and paper. Take these out. And then it's the same the other side. I've just backed these in tea-dyed paper, and this is the fold you do, and I've forgotten where I saw it, but you fold over like that, then you fold back that bit, and then it goes over the top of the page, and then you've got a pocket there, and a pocket even underneath if you want as well. And this is the back of that invoice, and it had holes in it already, so I just put some sari silk through it. The railway, the map, the other side of the map with some vintage lace, and another vintage lace pocket at the back here with, this is from 1911, the front page of a theatre book, and that goes in there along with this card that I've layered with the book page and the tea-dyed paper, and they go in, that goes in there. So that's my vintage journal. I hope you've liked that, and I've done a few videos, say, with all the ephemera I've made. And please don't forget to hit that like button and the subscribe and the notification bell. And thank you very much for watching this, and I'll speak to you all again soon. Bye.